Wife heard me say Phil's the only reason we're married. Now my wife is demanding I cut everyone off or she'll tell him what I did with his sister. Okay. Deep breath. I already know I'm the villain to some of you. I've accepted that. But before anyone grabs their pitchforks, just read the whole thing. Because I never planned to be in this situation. And I sure as hell didn't think one stupid half-drunk sentence would end with my marriage basically being held hostage. So yeah, this is about me, my wife, my father-in-law, and something that happened a long time ago with his sister, who, for the record, is not my wife's mom. She's like 12 years younger than him. But we'll get to that. I, 35 million, have been married to my wife, 32 million, for almost 6 years. Together 10. And things have been rocky for a while. We're not scream at each other toxic, but more like silently resentful roommates who have the same arguments every 6 months. She thinks I'm emotionally distant. I think she's passive-aggressive and lives to keep score. We've done therapy, we've done the let's take a break thing. Nothing sticks. So why are we still married? That's where her dad comes in. My father-in-law is honestly one of the best men I've ever met. Dude basically adopted me when I was broke. No family, no direction. When I started dating my wife, I was a mess. And he saw something in me. Let me live in his guest house for 2 years while I finished school. Got me a job at his company. Taught me how to actually be a man. Like, he's more of a father to me than my real one ever was. And yeah, I've stayed in this marriage longer than I should have because of him. And last weekend, I said that out loud. We were at a party. Her cousin's birthday, everyone was drinking. FIL wasn't there, but most of her family was. At one point, my wife and I were in the backyard with her brother and another cousin. We were talking about relationships, how hard marriage is, blah blah. You know how people get when the tequila hits. And I said something like, honestly, if it weren't for your dad, I don't know if I'd still be married. Yeah, I know. Fucking idiot. I didn't mean it like that. I meant, he's the glue, or he's the reason I wanted to try to make it work. But the moment the words left my mouth, I knew it sounded bad. Her brother went quiet. The cousin made a joke to diffuse it. My wife just smiled and said, wow, and walked back inside. Didn't talk to me for 2 days. Then she dropped the real bomb. She pulls me into the bedroom, locks the door and says, if you think you're staying married out of obligation, we can end this. But if you leave, I'm telling Dad what you did with Aunt Nicole. Yeah. That's when I realized she wasn't just mad. She was going nuclear. Let me explain. When I was 23, before I met my wife, I hooked up with her dad's sister, Nicole. She's 12 years younger than him, so at the time she was 35, and I was 23. We met at a 4th of July party. She didn't live nearby. It was one of those one-time stupid, chaotic things. She knew I was crashing in the guest house. I didn't even think her family liked her that much. Nothing ever came of it. We never told anyone. It was just a secret. Fast forward a year later, I meet my wife. We hit it off. I never connected the dots until she took me home to meet her family, and Nicole showed up. She pulled me aside that day and said, don't say anything. It never happened. So I didn't. That was over a decade ago. But now my wife wants to use it. She said, you want to hurt me? Fine, but I'll hurt him. You break this family. I'll make sure you never speak to him again. Because she knows. Telling her dad would end everything. He's big on loyalty, on trust. If he found out I slept with his sister, I don't know what he'd do. He's not violent, but he's the kind of man who cuts people out with no second chances. I'd lose him. Probably the job. Maybe more. So now I'm sitting here wondering, what the fuck do I do? She wants me to cut everyone off on my side of the family, my few friends, my cousin I vent to, even people on social media. She wants full control of the narrative. She wants me to play house and pretend like we're all good, or she's telling him. I told her that's blackmail. She said, call it what you want. You started it. And maybe she's not wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have said what I said. But this is next level. I haven't talked to Nicole in years. No clue if she'd deny it or throw me under the bus. No idea what my FIL would do. And yeah, part of me still wants to stay in his life. He's the only constant I've had, the only one who ever really gave a damn. But I can't live like this. I just don't know if telling the truth now makes me brave or just finishes the job of blowing everything up. Advice is welcome. Update 1. I called her bluff. Now she's telling everyone I groomed her aunt. I didn't expect this many people to read that last post. I didn't even expect to come back here. But, yeah, escalated fast. So here's what happened since. After I posted, I sat with it for a few days, read a ton of your comments. Some of you said tell the truth, some said lawyer up. A few of you called me a manipulative asshole, which fair. I won't defend every decision I made, but I will say this. I'm not gonna spend the rest of my life walking around on a leash held by someone who hates me. My wife doesn't love me, I don't love her, and the only reason we've been doing this act for so long is because we both care more about image than happiness. I broke that with one sentence. She's trying to burn the rest. So I called her bluff, sat her down, calm as I could, and said, "You want to tell your dad? Fine, but you don't get to control me anymore. I'm filing. I'll tell him myself if I have to. I'll own it, but I'm not living under threat." She just stared at me. No yelling, no crying, just this cold smirk like she already had the next move lined up. Next day, she started flying. She didn't tell her dad yet. Instead, she started working the rest of the family, said I'd done something disgusting with Aunt Nicole years ago. But here's the twist. She told them I groomed her, said I manipulated a vulnerable woman twice my age when I was a drifter living in their guest house. Let that sink in. I was 23. Nicole was 35. We hooked up one time. Consensual. Dumb. Yeah. But it wasn't some long-term thing. Now suddenly, I'm being painted like some sociopathic opportunist who preyed on her aunt. Her mom called me. Her exact words were, "How long were you targeting her? Before or after you realized she was your girlfriend's aunt?" I didn't even respond, just hung up. Then her brother messaged me, "You better not show your face at Dad's company again. He's gonna find out." So yeah, the fire's spreading. I texted Nicole. I haven't spoken to her in years. Didn't even know if the number still worked. I didn't give her details, just said, "Things are coming out. You should know people are talking." She called me 20 minutes later. We talked for almost an hour. It was tense as hell at first. She was pissed that this ever came back up. Said she's been married now, has kids, and her husband doesn't know anything about that summer. But once I explained what my wife was saying, that I took advantage of her, Nicole went quiet. And then she said, "That's not what happened. We were both messy. I was lonely. You were young. It was bad judgment. But you didn't groom me. That's insane." She said she'll deny it if it comes up publicly, but she won't throw me under the bus. Doesn't want her life destroyed over something that happened 12 years ago. I told her I understand. I'm not asking her to take a bullet for me. But now I know. She's not the one spinning this. My wife is. I talked to a lawyer, told him everything, even the stuff I didn't want to say out loud. He told me straight up, if she escalates this into a formal accusation, you need to be ready. We're drawing up divorce papers now. Emergency protections if she keeps spreading this grooming crap. He also said something that kind of hit me in the gut. You might lose your job. You might lose the relationship with her dad, but you won't lose everything. You still have your name. Protect it. And yeah, that's the hardest part. I haven't seen my father-in-law yet. I've been avoiding the office, using sick days. I know I have to face him soon. Maybe tell him myself before she does. But I'm scared. Not gonna lie about that. He's the only person I've ever looked up to, and I hate that I gave someone else the power to blow that up. Right now, she's still in the house. We're basically ghosts to each other. She cooks her own food, sleeps in the guest room. I lock the office when I'm in it. She walks around like she's already won, like I'm just another one of her little power projects she can ruin and move on from. I keep thinking about the way she smiled when she threatened me. Not screamed, smiled. Like this is a game. I think she's been waiting for a reason to torch this marriage for a while. She just wanted to make sure it looked like my fault when it all went down. I haven't told my friends yet, haven't said anything to my side of the family. It's embarrassing and dark. But once the divorce papers are filed, I'm going public with the real story. Not just to defend myself, but because I don't want her turning this into some twisted hero story where she escaped a manipulative predator. She didn't escape anything. She created this entire hell out of spite, and now she's using her own family's trauma as ammo. He deserves to hear the truth, even if it means he never talks to me again. Wish me luck. Update 2. I told her dad everything. He told me what she did at 19. Last post I said I was thinking about telling my father-in-law, FIL, everything before my wife could twist it worse. I was scared. Still am, honestly, but I knew if I waited, she'd tell her version first and blow up whatever chance I had of defending myself. So I did it. I told him. I called him at the office, told him I needed to talk. He said come in. I expected him to already know, honestly. Expected the cold stare, the door slammed, something. But when I walked in, he just looked tired, like he already knew something bad was coming but didn't know which direction it would hit from. I sat down and said, flat out, something happened years ago with Nicole. Way before I met your daughter. It was a one-time thing. She was in a bad place. I was stupid. I never brought it up because I didn't think it would ever matter. But now, my wife is threatening to use it to blow everything up unless I do what she says. And she's telling people I groomed her aunt. I expected yelling. Instead, he rubbed his face with both hands and said, God damn it, I knew this was about her. I asked, Nicole? He shook his head. Number my daughter. Here's where it gets crazy. He told me that when my wife was 19, she got caught lying to a family friend about her mom, told this woman her mom hit her, that she needed a place to stay. The woman let her move in for 2 weeks. Cried about how awful her home life was. MIL was devastated. FIL ended up having to go over there, explain that none of it was true, that she'd made it up because she was mad about not being allowed to go on a trip. Apparently, it wasn't the first time. She has a history of bending reality when she feels slighted. FIL didn't say she's a liar, but the way he talked about her, carefully, like he was tiptoeing around a bomb, made it clear he's been through this before. And then he said, I believe you. About Nicole, I'm not thrilled, but it's not what she's saying it is. I can see that. I sat there stunned. This man, who once told me trust was the most important thing in the world, just gave me a second chance. Then he said, but you still need to divorce her, because she's trying to ruin people, and I can't watch her do it again. So yeah, that's what happened. He knows. And he's on my side, for now. But that's not the end of it. Because the second she realized he wasn't taking the bait, she lost her sheti. She came home that night and immediately started yelling, said I turned her father against her, said I was manipulating him too, said I was gaslighting the whole family. I didn't respond. I just handed her the divorce packet. She laughed, actually laughed, said, this won't fix your reputation. Then she stormed out. A few hours later, I get a call from her mom. Mill is crying, saying her daughter left in the middle of the night and was threatening to go no contact with the whole family. Apparently she told them they're all complicit in her abuse. She's now saying I emotionally manipulated her for years and that I'm weaponizing her past to cover my guilt. Nicole texted me that night, just said, she's unraveling. Don't engage. So now my wife's doing the full martyr routine. Social media black backgrounds. Vague posts about surviving narcissists, posting old photos of us with sad captions like, I gave everything and it still wasn't enough. Some of her friends have started messaging me, asking, what happened? I haven't responded to anyone. I've got the truth, and now I've got her dad on record backing it up. The divorce is moving forward. I'm staying with a friend for now, just to give space until we figure out who keeps what. No kids, thankfully. No house. It's mostly just paperwork and accounts. But I know she's going to make it as ugly as possible on the way out. Still, I don't regret telling the truth, even if it cost me peace, even if it cost me the life I thought I had, because at least now I'm not being held hostage by guilt and secrets. And if anyone in that family still wants to believe her version, let them. I'm not playing her games anymore. Update 3. I found her journal. She's been planning this for over a year. I need to talk about what I found, because it's one thing to know someone is manipulative. It's another to read it in their own handwriting. So the storage unit, let's start there. We had a 10 by 10 off-site unit we used for seasonal stuff, decorations, camping gear, old furniture, and files we didn't want cluttering the house. I stopped by this week to grab some old financial records for the divorce proceedings. Thought it'd be in and out. While I was going through boxes, I found one labeled Yearbooks plus Sketchbooks. It was mostly her stuff, old high school notebooks, college art journals. I was about to toss it aside, but one smaller leather-bound book caught my eye. It looked newer than the others. I opened it. No name, no date, just a list. The first page literally said, if, when I leave. How to keep control of the narrative. Protect Dad from the Nicole situation. Make sure people know I tried with me. Keep emotional distance but stay calm. Never lose my temper around his friends or family. Flip the grooming angle if needed, only if he goes public. Backup photos plus screenshots. Keep in cloud folder. I froze. I flipped through more pages. It was like reading a villain's game plan, but she wasn't even trying to hide it behind poetry or metaphors. It was straight up strategy. There was a checklist titled Soft Launch Phase with bullet points like start posting less couple content, subtle captions about growth, resilience, build support bubble, reach out to list of names, float idea that marriage has been rocky for years, set groundwork and therapy notes. Another page was titled Emergency Plan if he outs me first. Under it, she had use therapy language, say I've felt unsafe, bring up gaslighting, Darvo, etc. Play up family pressure plus generational trauma. He weaponized my dad's love for him against me. I tried to stay and fix it. He gave up. I wish I was making this up. I wish it was some random spiral notebook from high school and I just misunderstood what I was reading. But the dates tucked into the margins, April, June, even last December, match real events. Times she started weird fights. Times she stopped posting about us. Times I felt her pulling away and thought it was stress. It wasn't stress. It was a premeditated character assassination. I brought the notebook to my lawyer, not to use as evidence yet, but just to get a read on whether I was losing my mind. He was silent for a while after reading, then said, she was building a story before the first punch was ever thrown. You're not crazy. I've kept it locked up since, haven't confronted her, haven't told anyone else, not even her dad yet, but it explains so much. She was never going to tell him about Nicole out of hurt. She was going to leverage it, twist it, use it to destroy my credibility the second I stepped out of line. And the grooming accusation was her backup weapon, and it worked, sort of. She turned half her family against me, got mutual friends sending me concerned messages and vague guilt traps. Even her mom, who knows what she's like, still keeps calling saying, please just make peace. We don't need any more mess. That's all they care about. The mess. Not the lies, not the damage, just the cleanup. But I'm done playing polite. I haven't said anything publicly yet, but the next move's coming, because after I found the journal, she started pushing again. She texted me 2 nights ago, you've made your point. Are we done now? Or are you going to drag this out like a child? I didn't answer. I won't answer. She wants me to fold so she can keep her narrative intact, so she can walk away looking like the calm, rational woman who endured a toxic marriage and took the high road. Update 4. I sent her the journal with the divorce papers. She went completely silent. I made my move, and now it's quiet. Dead quiet. So let's rewind a bit. After I found the journal and confirmed with my lawyer that, yes, it was real, and no, I'm not insane. I sat on it for a week. Didn't tell anyone. Didn't confront her. Just kept doing the paperwork, showing up at work, keeping my head down while her little army of vague, you're changing messages kept rolling in. Then her dad asked to meet again. I was nervous. Thought maybe she finally spun something that stuck, but when I got to the diner where we met, he just handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter, handwritten, signed by him. It basically said, whatever happens between you two, I'm not picking sides. But I know who you are, and I know what she's capable of. I hope you both find peace. That was it. Short, clean, no promises. But in his own way, it was his version of staying in my corner without dragging himself into her fallout. That's when I knew what I had to do. I went to the lawyer's office. Final paperwork was ready. I added one thing, a manila folder, unmarked, with the journal inside. I bookmarked 3 key pages, taped a note to the front. Here's your narrative. Now you don't have to lie to keep it straight. I told the process server to drop it at her apartment the next morning. Not at work, not in public, just at the door. Clean, legal, undeniable. That was 4 days ago, and I haven't heard a single word since. Not from her, not from her mom, not from her cousins, her mutuals, her concerned friends. Nothing. I checked her socials. She wiped them. Instagram deleted, Facebook, blank profile picture, everything locked down. Twitter/X gone. Even the old vague posting group chat she used to run with her college friends, silent. I don't know what she's doing. I don't care. I didn't send the journal to ruin her. I sent it because I wanted the truth in her hands. No deniability, no fake crying about confusion or pain or betrayal. And now she knows I know. It's funny, since all this started, I haven't cried, not once. But I did cry after I dropped the keys off at our old place. Not because I missed it, or her, but because I realized I spent years trying to make it work with someone who was already building a life after me before I even stepped out of line. All it took was one sentence at a party, and she was ready to burn everything down. So what now? I've got a tiny place on the other side of town, nothing fancy. Small kitchen, stained carpet, one working burner, but it's quiet, nobody yelling, no one tiptoeing around invisible tripwires. I sleep better now. I've reconnected with a few people I lost along the way. One of them, my cousin, said, "Man, I thought you were just MIA, didn't realize you were drowning." And yeah, I was. Not because of one thing, but because of 100 little moments I let slide. The quiet digs, the fake smiles, the weaponized therapy speak, the emotional bait and switch, the marriage that was built on admiration for her dad and not love for her. I ignored it all because I didn't want to admit I chose wrong. Turns out, admitting it is the first step to finally breathing again. If she ever responds, I don't plan to answer. If she goes public, fine, I've got everything I need. If she tries to play the victim one last time, let her. The truth's in her handwriting. That's not mine to defend anymore. To the people who read all this, thanks. It's been weirdly comforting writing it out here, like leaving a breadcrumb trail out of a house I should have left years ago. I'm not perfect. I've made stupid, messy, selfish choices. I'm not the good guy in every part of this.